Is this the most useful tool on earth? Let's find out. As I was growing up in the trades, this was always referred to as a multi-tool because it does multiple tasks. It is also known as a painter's tool, or a 6-in-1, or an 8-in-1. They even have 14-in-1s now. To me, some of them are a little far-fetched. They're reaching for something that's not really there. They have screwdriver attachments that are kind of awkward to use. Not very handy, really and truly. I guess it's better than nothing if you have nothing, but most people come semi-prepared. So let's go through some of the functions that this tool can do. Hi everybody, I'm Jim Dierdorf and this is Detroit DIY. Since this is mostly referred to as a painter's tool, you can really only find them in the paint department of the big box stores. You can find some of the better ones at the paint stores. Sherwin-Williams paint stores, so on and so forth. They're all over the place and you can pick them up there. And they are extremely handy to have. As a carpenter, I've always used one, and I've never really used it for any of its painting purposes. I have, but it's not on a regular basis. What I really like about it is the stiffness of this blade. It is stiff, it is made out of a high carbon steel, and it comes in very handy for a lot of things, especially this nice little point. So this one has a nail puller. This would be the first one that I've purchased with a nail puller in it, and this is an 8-in-1. So let's get into some of what it can do. So this edge here is designed for opening cans. So let's have a look. So what you would do is just take this edge right here and put it up under the lid of this can. 1 gallon cans, any paint can. And it'll remove that lid very nicely. This end is for reinstalling the lid and or setting nails. I would never use this to set a nail because what it'll do is just leave a big dink on the drywall if that's what you're trying to set the nail in. It's definitely not going to set a big nail, but it will push a little one in. There is something that I like about this end, and that is if there's a little hump in the drywall or a bump when you're trying to put your compound on, you can take this and aggressively push against it to smush that bump down. So let's talk about this cutout right here. This is for cleaning the excess paint out of your rollers, so it would be used in a manner consistent to this, to squeegee out your paint. Your roller, when you're finished with it, can hold up to a half a pint of paint. So you want to get that paint out. Paint's $35 a gallon. You don't want to throw any away that you don't have to. Also, if you clean your rollers, when you're finished cleaning them, you can squeegee the excess water out with this and get it ready for the next go around. So painters would also use this for spreading compound, spackling, just filling little nail holes and stuff like that. It's not like you're going to do any type of drywall compound work with it or anything like that. The blade is just far too stiff for that. But it is good for patching nail holes and patching little holes and just working some spackling. I've spread various materials with it. I just used this one the other day to spread some roofing tar around. They work really nice for those applications, and that is another thing that a painter would use this for. So the other nice thing about this tool is this point right here. That would be used for removing caulk, open up cracks between two pieces of wood to caulk, and it actually is very wonderful. It's something that I use all the time, whether it be caulking, whether it just be opening a crack, anything like that. That's not anything that, you know, a painter would need to be used. The other thing on this 8-in-1 is this right here. They're calling this a utility knife. Doesn't seem to be much of a utility knife to me. It doesn't even want to hardly cut a piece of cardboard. It will, but it takes work. If you were to try to open a bag with it, a bag of mud or something like that, it would just rip it. So I don't find a whole lot of use in that, unfortunately. And then one of the things that I like the most about this tool is the the ability to scrape with it. It is an excellent scraper. This blade is so nice and rigid that you can really put some pressure on it and you can get it done. So that kind of covers the things that a painter would use this tool for. Now let me get into some of the things that I would use this tool for as a carpenter. So let's check out the nail puller right here. What I've done is I've set a 3D 1.5 inch finish nail right here in my workbench, and we're going to see if this will pull it out. I don't think this is quite narrow enough to be doing these types of nails, but in my opinion that's what it would be designed for, is a smaller nail. And as you can see, it just slips off. So it's not, that part doesn't impress me, and it's not really why I would have a multi-tool to pull nails, or a painter's tool, or an 8-in-1. So to me this is kind of a useless feature. This is my old one here, the one that I used the most. I picked this one up because I kind of liked the way that the blade was so much wider than the one that I currently have. So as far as nails go, if they get much bigger than 1.5 inch kind of finished nail like that, I don't think that you're really going to get it out with this to begin with. So because of its rigid construction, this is excellent for use in prying, especially removing trim or removing delicate pieces that you don't want to destroy. Sometimes it's the hardest thing is to get them to open up just a little bit so you can get something in there to pry them with without scarring it up so bad that it's no longer usable. And these blades are tough, so I've nailed on a little piece of wood right here. I only have one nail in it, no big deal. We're going to get it from right here at the top and we're going to pry it off. So I'm just going to set it right in here like this, and I'll show you that there's going to be minimal scarring, if any at all. Just kind of wedge it in, give it a pull, and in most cases it'll come off that easy, whether it be trim or whether it be anything that you're working with. These are excellent for prying things apart. The other thing I like about these multi-tools is their ability to do light duty chiseling. Because of this structured end right here and the fact that it's molded into the handle, these can be used to do some light duty chiseling, and they work out very nice for something like that. So even though I didn't split all the way through, it is strong enough to work over these little pieces of wood and get them out of your way, sometimes in demolition or whatever the case may be. These are excellent light duty chisels. This is not something that's on here. This is something I would use it for as a carpenter. And one of the other things that I like so very much about this tool is a lot of times when you're doing trim work, you pull your trim off, but what stays behind is the nail. And the nail is surrounded by drywall, which is soft. So you can't really just get your hammer in there and pry it off, because you're going to put a big dent in the drywall. And this is nail pulling anywhere where you have a soft surface. This will spread and displace your hammer prying against it. And I'll tell you what, I really like using these for doing this, to protect the surface below when you're pulling that nail. They work out really nice for that. And this is one of its common uses when I'm doing trim. It's helping me get the trim off. When I'm doing trim work, this thing is just out there all the time. It's in my back pocket and it goes everywhere with me. And it is beautiful. A beautiful assistant for doing trim work. And here's a little bonus tip for you. When you're taping, these make an excellent source for getting a nice clean straight edge on your tape. Whether you're doing tile work, doing paint work, whatever work you're doing, these will create a nice straight edge on the end of that tape. Okay guys, so whether you choose this one or you choose this one, you're going to find a million uses for these tools. And like I say, one of my favorite uses is for trim, it's for prying, it's for scraping, it's for digging stuff out with these nice corners, opening up cracks, getting that caulk in there, getting everything cleaned out. These are amazing tools. And I'll tell you what, it beats this putty knife any day of the week. A putty knife has its place. It's intended to spread putty. The blade is very flexible, and that is what it's designed for. If you want a tool that can get in there, can do some of the jobs of that putty knife, only it's thicker, it's heavier, it's a heavier blade, and do a whole lot more, you're going to need a 6-in-1, an 8-in-1, a 14-in-1 if you want to really get fancy. But I'll tell you what, guys, I'll never go anywhere without one of these in my tool bag, and I guarantee you almost on every job it comes out and it does something for me in one way, shape, or form or another, whether it's just some light duty chiseling, prying, cleaning out a gap, a crack. To me, this tool is invaluable, and it gets used more than any other tool just about in my tool bag. Now this is the little trusty one that I've had for quite a few years. They're rugged. I haven't broken one yet, so and sometimes I get pretty gnarly on them, banging them with the hammer, beating them around, just getting the work done. So guys, in my opinion, this is the most useful tool on earth. So I'd like to thank you for watching. If you enjoyed yourself, click on one of those two videos right there. And I'd like to give a special thanks to Tony Iaconelli and Brett Wimmer, because none of this could happen without them.